Okay, this is going to be an interesting video because we're going to be testing out the 980 Ti from 2015 with the 9800X3D to check if we can actually run Borderlands 4 on the lowest settings or any settings if it's possible, okay? So let's just jump into it and see how things go. First of all, I gotta say, I could not believe my eyes when this thing booted up on this system with the GPU. I thought it was not gonna even boot up. It's gonna straight up crash onto the desktop when you boot it up. But here we are, native settings low on 1080p. We're getting 20 FPS. Wow, man, the 980 Ti, it's still going strong. So I wasn't even expecting double digits FPS. But I was really surprised to see 20 plus FPS on a card. I think this is now 10 years old at this point. This came out in 2015, if I believe. So man, like 10 years old. GPU still being able to play Borderlands 4, one of the worst optimized games in 2025. It's crazy. I mean, yes, it is paired up with the 9800X3D. That is a crazy ass bottleneck combo. But so it's proof that this card can still handle modern games. You know, this is native 1080p. And since we don't have any DLSS on this card, you have to go to FSR and performance upscaling. You get more than 30 FPS. It's not that crazy because you can see the 980 Ti is still like maxing out, even on these low resolutions, 97%, you know, using about, maxing out like pretty much the entire VRAM, because this card only has 6 GB of VRAM. It was huge back in 2015. 6 GB of VRAM you could just max out any game back in the day. But these days, man, you need at least 8 GB to play even on low settings. So you can see here, getting 40 plus FPS here and there, and the 0.1% lows looking pretty decent for this card, not gonna lie. And I'm really surprised, man. FSR performance, it does look a lot blurrier. But what can you do about it, bro? There's nothing you can do about it. It's still a miracle this game is still working on it, you know? So I'd be happy if you do own a 980 Ti in 2025. Shout out to you. You are a GOAT. Anybody who owns this card is a GOAT. This thing can still handle games in 2025, even the worst optimized ones. So shout out to you, man. And now on DLSS Ultra, now on FSR Ultra Performance, we're gonna see a little bit of improvement over just performance. The 980 Ti is just a huge bottleneck for this CPU, unfortunately. You can see it's at 97-96% used, while the CPU is just below 30% usage. And 45, you're not gonna get more than 45 FPS on 1080p even on the lowest settings. Yeah, not able to get 60 FPS. Okay, since we are not able to get 60 on 1080p, we gotta go to 720p and test things out on that. So we are back on 720p native, which is definitely not gonna get us to 60 FPS, but I just want to test it out. You can see more than 30 FPS, and it is more clearer than turning on FSR performance on 1080p. So you get a better visual image clarity if you're on native settings as it's supposed to be. So if you just lock your FPS to 30, and if you're playing on a controller and you still own a 980 Ti, you might be able to pull this off, you know? Might be having a pretty decent PS4 type of experience if you're okay with that. But hey, man, that's not what you got a PC for, man. But you know, you can't do much with a 980 Ti, unfortunately. Okay, now we're gonna just turn on frame generation. I know, like, you guys might be wondering, why didn't I turn to frame gen on 1080p settings? I actually forgot, okay? That's the actual reason. While I was recording the video, I forgot to turn on frame gen. And I realized I already made the video, changed the GPU and everything, and it was too late since I realized it. So, but I did test it out after I did all of this, and I was getting like around 60 to 70 FPS on 1080p on the lowest settings on DLSS performance. FSR performance. So, and it was really laggy. So you know, when it's FSR, it was gonna be a little too messy, just like this, but slightly better. And this is on 720p. You can see you're getting 96, almost 100 FPS, but the visuals, man, it was so blurry. You can see here, you could barely make out what the hell is going on in a on the far distance because it was so blurry, it was so pixelated. But you're getting more than 100 FPS. Is it playable? Yes, I did not like notice that much input delay. It was playable, you know, but that's about it. Just playable. Everything else sucks. And now I just wanted to go and see how it's going to be on FSR quality with frame gen on. One thing I gotta tell, man, FSR saved a lot of people's lives. I mean, gaming lives, because without FSR, we wouldn't be able to get 60 FPS on this game. And it's such a shame that Nvidia is so stubborn, just making only their RTX cards have DLSS features. I'm pretty sure if they wanted to, they could just implement that on their older cards, but that's not how Nvidia works. They're so freaking greedy, they don't give a shit. But yo, shout out to AMD for having FSR as a feature, so that cards like these, even 10-year-old GPUs, on your competitor side of things, can have 60 FPS in the latest games. Now we're just going to turn off frame gen and just stick with FSR quality on 720p. So from 80 FPS, which we saw with frame gen on, we're just down to 48, 49 FPS. Still almost maxing out the GPU. If you just pay attention to the GPU memory, it's 5.2 GB used. Not 6 GB yet, but pretty close to it. We're getting 43 FPS. This something similar to FSR performance on 1080p. And the frame time graph is pretty stable so far, even though there's hitching here and there. The gameplay was pretty smooth. I didn't experience any major hicks or dips. So that's a solid sign, you know. But 48, 49 FPS. Not terrible, but just okay again. And now finally we're gonna go all the way to the low settings, the maximum we can do with this system. So FSR Ultra Performance Low with frames and on, 720p, and which will give us more than 100 FPS. But look at the image quality, holy Jesus. Look at that, look at the pixelation. You can point out each pixel and probably not see anything on the screen. Even if it's like a few meters away, you're gonna be hard to see those properly. That's how pixelated it is. It's so terrible on a big screen on a 4K monitor. Let me tell you that. If you have a 720p CRT monitor, maybe this will be looking fine, but boy, if you have anything better than a 1440p monitor, man, it's just... Again, who am I kidding? It's a 980 Ti. Who's gonna be having a 1440p monitor with a 980 Ti? The maximum you can do is 1080p with this card. You know, especially on an AAA game from 2025. That's all I gotta show you guys. So there it is, the 980 Ti still able to play games, a really shitty optimized game in 2025. That's a great thing to see, you know. So if you are still owning a 980 Ti, shout out to you again. You are one of the GOATs, still holding on to those sexy cards. And yeah. What you guys think about the 980 Ti paired up with the 9800 X3D? That's a lot of 98s and zeros. So let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. If you like the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more benchmarks like these. And I hope you guys are having a great time wherever you are. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.